Two companies ran empires and fought like nations, not with crowns, with contracts. Their weapons were ships, forts, and something quieter: the ability to turn money into power. The Dutch VOC and the British East India Company weren't just merchants. They minted rules, hired armies, and bent ports to their will. The question is simple: who learned to weaponize finance and sea power better? Because in this duel, cannons mattered, but ledgers mattered more. Whoever controlled cash flow could hire more men, sail more ships, and buy the next victory before it even happened. It starts with paper. In London and Amsterdam, rulers sign charters that grant monopolies, exclusive rights to trade across oceans. And suddenly, the state rents out empire to shareholders. Joint stock capital is the trick. Thousands of investors pour in small fortunes, and the company pools them into one giant fist. Risk spreads out. Power concentrates. The VOC takes it further. It gets permission to build forts, wage war, and sign treaties. A company with state powers. The ocean becomes its jurisdiction. The EIC is born earlier, but weaker at first, testing routes, begging for access, learning local politics the hard way. It's commerce, playing at geopolitics. And the map changes meaning. Trade routes stop being lines to profit and become lines to control. Whoever owns the route can starve rivals without firing a shot. But routes don't exist in a vacuum. Ports have gatekeepers, governors who control permits, taxes, and docking rights. If they say no, the empire in a box stops at the shoreline. So the companies arrive smiling, gifts, treaties, promises. But under the politeness is the same message: let us in, or we'll come in anyway. Now we hit the obsession: spices, nutmeg, cloves, small, fragrant, and worth a fortune across an ocean. Whoever controls supply controls Europe's cravings. Choke points become everything: narrow straits, key harbors, fort guns overlooking sea lanes. And once you can choke a route, you can charge for breathing. The VOC chooses hard control. It builds headquarters in Asia, fortifies, and governs. And at the center stands John Peter Soon Cohen, ruthless, methodical, convinced fear is efficient. Monopoly isn't just buying low and selling high. It's destroying alternatives. It's shaping markets until there's only one door. And you own the lock. Forts become receipts. Spices flow in, coins flow out, and the fort keeps a cut at every step. It's not only security, it's a toll booth with cannons. The gatekeeper governor understands leverage. He can delay ships, raise fees, or redirect trade. So both companies compete to influence him through diplomacy and pressure turns dark fast. To enforce exclusivity, violence becomes part of the contract, not always visible in Europe, but felt sharply along tropical coasts. Cohen's era leaves a warning carved into the region. Resist the monopoly, and the monopoly will make an example. The point isn't just punishment, it's price control through fear. Meanwhile, the British watch. Early EIC agents learn a brutal lesson. The Dutch monopoly is effective, but it creates enemies everywhere. And enemies are expensive. That's the pivot. Because the real duel isn't who's crueler. It's who can scale, credit, fleets, and control without collapsing under the cost. Here's the hidden machine. Forts act like ATMs. They store wealth, issue pay, and convert goods into cash. Whoever controls the fort controls the payroll. Payroll is the secret of repeatable power. A paid soldier returns tomorrow. A hired sailor ships out again. Violence stops being a one-off and becomes a subscription. And if you're enjoying this kind of history, where money moves the cannons, tap like and subscribe. Because the next twist is where a trading company becomes a tax empire. Credit expands everything. With loans and investors, the companies can build ships before they earn the profit. But borrowed power has a timer, and interest doesn't forgive. Convoy fleets turn oceans into highways. If you can sail in formation and defend the route, you can deliver spices reliably. And reliability is a weapon in itself. Local rulers push back where they can. They bargain, stall, and play rivals against each other. The governor's calm face hides a strategy. Divide the outsiders. Keep sovereignty. Cohen's VOC believes in hard dominance. Control the source. Control the ports. Control the people. The monopoly becomes a fortress, strong but rigid. But coercion keeps creeping in. Prices get forced. Contracts get adjusted. The market stops being a market and starts being a command. The EIC learns to look softer while staying sharp. A handshake in front, a cannon behind. They offer trade, protection, paperwork, then quietly make themselves necessary. Sea lanes become the chessboard, blockade a rival, control a strait, force a ship to dock where you can tax it. You don't need to conquer land if you control water. And in ledgers, the numbers accelerate. Costs rise, ships multiply, debt grows, the candle flickers because the system is hungry. Then the story drifts inland into Bengal, where one battle will do what 1,000 spice deals never could: ignite a revenue engine that never stops. Now the year is 1757. Plassey. Robert Clive isn't just planning a battle. He's negotiating a balance sheet. Because the prize isn't a port, it's control of cash flow. In corridors and courts, letters move. Promises, payments, alignments shift. And the battlefield is already tilted before the first shot echoes. When the moment breaks, it breaks fast. Hesitation, rain, confusion. Not a heroic clash, a political collapse with muskets. And Clive sees the opening. After Plassey, the flow flips. Revenue, tax revenue, starts feeding the company. Not just profit from trade, but money extracted from land and people. That changes everything. With steady revenue, the EIC can fund larger armies, bigger fleets, deeper administration. Power begins to compound like interest. Trade becomes just the front door. The engine is now taxation, money that arrives whether the spice ships sail or not. The company becomes a state in slow motion, and far away in Dutch offices, the tremor hits. Their monopoly system looks powerful, but it depends on tight control and high margins. The British just found a different fuel source. This is the duel's turning point. One system runs on a locked spice valve. The other plugs into an entire province's revenue. One is a fortress, the other is a machine. Now the VOC starts to rot from the inside. Corruption, patronage, bribes, leakage that doesn't just lose money, it loses discipline. And discipline is what made the monopoly work. Once officials profit personally, the company's purpose fractures. The ledger lies. The reports soften. The fort still stands, but the foundation is compromised. Fort upkeep grows costly. Ships need repair. Garrisons need pay. And every missing coin forces harder choices. Raise prices, squeeze locals, borrow more. The spiral tightens. The EIC, meanwhile, professionalizes extraction. Paperwork, courts, stamps, collectors. Unromantic machinery that turns territory into predictable income. It's efficient and terrifying. That's the transformation, from merchant to governor, from negotiating prices to setting rules. The company isn't competing in a market anymore. It's redesigning the market. Local gatekeepers adapt, but the scale has shifted. You can bargain with traders. It's harder to bargain with an administration that claims permanence. And war costs explode. Every conflict demands ships, guns, wages. Paid today, justified tomorrow. Even winners can be bankrupted by the bill. Debt becomes a chain you can't cut without losing the fleet. But the fleet is what protects the revenue, so you borrow to protect the borrowing. The VOC can't match the tempo. Its monopoly is brittle, its officials are compromised, its debts swell. The spice piles no longer look like treasure, they look like last season's miracle. The EIC scales with grim confidence. More troops, more ships, more clerks. The machine turns, and the bigger it gets, the harder it is for anyone to stop. Because at this size, a company doesn't fail like a business. It fails like a government. Time accelerates. Decades fall away. The world shifts into an age of revolutions and continental wars, and the old corporate empires are about to meet modern state power head-on. Europe's wars crash into corporate balance sheets. Convoys become targets. Insurance costs surge. Political alliances flip. The sea is no longer a marketplace. It's a battlefield again. The VOC can't pay. The chest is empty. The paperwork screams. And once creditors stop believing, the magic ends. A charter can't print trust, so the state steps in. Because a company that holds forts and colonies isn't private anymore when it collapses, the government takes the keys, quietly, finally. If you want a part 2 on how the EIC's machine eventually provoked backlash and reform, say part 2 in the comments, because this ending has an aftershock. In 1799, the VOC dissolves, its assets absorbed, its monopoly broken, its myth punctured. The first mega-corporate empire dies, not from a single defeat, but from compounded cost. And the EIC? It doesn't stay a company in spirit. It becomes an imperial instrument. Administration, army, revenue, until the line between corporate and state basically disappears. That's the world change. VOC tried to lock spices. The EIC, powered by revenue and war debts, outscaled the game, and corporate empires became imperial states. Two companies ran empires. One mastered choke points, the other mastered compounding cash flow. And the lesson is chilling. When finance and force fuse, the ledger becomes a flag. Glad you made it to the end. Tap like and subscribe for weekly stories like this. Because the next battle won't be fought with crowns. It'll be fought with contracts.